Welcome back to another episode of Reinventing Finance. I'm super excited to have Christopher with me today. Christopher, how are you?
Hi, Nikolaus. I'm doing very well today. I'm caught a cold a little bit, but I'm
But
so
we're
much.
recording anyway. That's how
Yeah,
committed we are. That is
that's
how
my
committed
that's
Christopher
my
is.
commitment. I'm looking forward to talking to you like for weeks now, and nothing will stop me.
Awesome, Christopher. Thank you so much for taking the time. If you look on your LinkedIn profile, you say you're venture lead pet insurance for Fressnapf Maxi Zoo. Could you just briefly introduce both Fressnapf and Maxi Zoo and what got you guys into the insurance space?
Yeah, Fressnapf Maxi Zoo is Europe's leading retailer for pet care. So, and I have been building up and leading the pet insurance business. And yeah, why did Fressnapf Maxi Zoo start with pet insurance? First of all, the demand for pet insurance is extremely high and increasing. It is very attractive business from a commercial point of view. But even more important, Fressnapf Maxi Zoo follows an ecosystem strategy where it wants to be able to provide everything for the pets from birth to death out of one hand. And yeah, pet insurance is a crucial business, a very emotional business, attractive. And I will talk about that in a few minutes. Extremely good to be integrated into the ecosystem and great to strengthen the relationship we have with the customers.
You mentioned that insurance is an attractive proposition. Now, at least in the UK, but also in Germany, some insurance underwriters might challenge that, and they're actually losing a lot of money on pet insurance because very competitive rates. But also in Germany, you need the I think GOP, but the basically the remuneration of veterinarians has changed significantly. So all of a sudden costs were quite high, and especially in the recently pet insurers in operations and health insurance have made a loss. So could you maybe clarify what you make why it's still attractive for you guys, and also maybe, and that is part of the answer. How you structurally approach it. Are you an introducer up to an insurance company or anything in between? There's different ways of how to structure it.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's a good point, but we are functioning as insurance agent. So we are partnering with insurance companies which act as a risk carrier.
Okay.
So that's why we are earning commissions for every pet insurance contract we distribute. In Germany, we are active together as a co-brand with Petolo, a very well-known insurtech. And in France, we just recently, at the end of 2024, so it's pre-new, we just launched our own white label insurance offering called Maxi Zoo Assurance.
And so when you mean just out of interest, because it's interesting that you've mentioned, so Petolo is also not an insurance company.
Yeah,
So they are, I believe they're owned by Zurich. Is that correctly?
they are
So they're
owned by Zurich. Yeah.
um, and so it would just be interesting. We can pick this up later as well, but you have a distributor, you have an MGA likely in between, and then you have the insurance company. Why you pick that route rather than going directly to an insurance company and cut out the middleman? And secondarily, which parts of the value chain do you provide in terms of customer service, questions about the product, how you've and why you've decided for the respective configuration that you've picked?
In Germany, we are quite focused on the distribution part, like marketing and sales, using our brand touch points to promote.
Mhm.
But in general, it's a co-creation business, right? So there are two partners sitting at one table discussing how that offering should look like. And in France, we even stepped one more step into this direction to become a kind of a quasi insurance company. We are anyways just an insurance agent, but the whole offering from A to Z was completely customized in co-creation to the needs of our target group and especially for us. Yeah.
But you also focus on customer acquisition and the
Yeah.
sales part. And if I have a question about am I insured, that would then be pushed to your insurance partner.
Yeah, but in France, it's the Maxi Zoo Assurance from the first moment you get in touch with this offering to the end. So it's in the name of the Maxi Zoo Insurance, and that's a different approach. You become a quasi insurance player by working with the right partners and the right partner model, and do co-creation to create an offering that's unique, innovative, and completely is customized to the needs that you would like to address with your target group.
So just so I understand, so you actually do the operations yourself in France. So you pick up the phone when there's a question, because
No,
I get the customer acquisition and product design part, but I'm more about running the insurance operations. Is
this
that
is
you or the?
the partner side. Yeah,
Okay, understood.
yeah,
No, I would say that's probably well, so you can also go full circle. I don't know, Booking.com owning their own insurance company to manage collision damage waiver claims. Um, is something extreme, but this seems to be what you describe is the kind of best in class model, at least to get started, that I've seen in
yeah.
embedded insurance.
I would even say it's the best model to operate because, I mean, of course, you can start your own insurance company, right? But in Germany, at least, it's not so simple. A lot of regulation and stuff like this, and a lot of investment that's needed. And in my opinion, it's not even necessary if you have a partnership model where you're made to become kind of insurance company, at least in the eyes of the customers, and work in close cooperation and in close co-creation to customize the offering exactly the way you like to display it.
Yeah, and I would say especially in lines of business where you have, I wouldn't even say whether the frequency doesn't really matter, but where you need to connect to lots and lots of different parts of an ecosystem. You can have a highly automated, I don't know, cancel for any reason travel claim, I'd assume, you
Yeah.
get all the stuff in, but here you need to deal with veterinarians and different IT systems, and then it is certainly sensible to do that pick that up as a partner because not I think that's what some people misunderstand when they say, oh, insurance is just a financial product. It's not,
Yeah.
in case of claims, you really need to get your hands dirty and figure things out, which is different than other finance
I
products.
mean, if you're in the right model with the right partners, you can outsource every task to the person, to the part of the value chain that is most suitable to do it. And I think it's somehow a secret of success.
Plus, you mentioned you provide an ecosystem, and insurance is just one building block, and so the emphasis seems to be on kind of procuring and managing these partnerships and creating a complete offering, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and creating your own white label brand that's all about leveraging the full potential you have as non-insurance player like Fressnapf Maxi Zoo, for example. I mean, we leverage the brand trust. Yeah, I mean, it's a love brand. People are used to buy at, and if you have this white label, you represent the whole values that this love brand represents. So you take completely advantage of it. And second of all, why I think it's such an interesting case overall is that you leverage the customer access. Yeah, pretty
Mhm.
well. I mean, that's the difference to many other players. They need to pay a lot of money to acquire customers. And for us, it's basically we already got a huge customer base. There are millions of people buying dog food and whatsoever every year in the stores, online, wheresoever. And imagine just a tiny percentage of them signing up for pet insurance that drives volume and profitability.
And I just wanted to kind of clarify some terminology because I believe when you say white label brand, it means you created your own brand on someone else's white label product, right? Because to my terminology, kind of coming, if I provide a white label service, you can put your brand on it. It's like in retail, you build cornflakes. and then you put Lidl cornflakes on top of it, but it's actually manufactured by Brüggen. That's, I think, or are you providing, if you were a white label insurance provider, you would enable other brands to put their brand on it, but I don't think that's what you're doing. You put your brand on someone else's insurance product.
Yeah, but in co-creation. So for
Oh
us,
yeah, totally.
it was
Totally.
super important that we did not take a Me Too pet insurance product.
Understood.
No, that's a really important point because, like, you see many times that often insurtechs take Me Too simple products and push it into the market, done very well in the digital space, but the products are just like, okay. And for us in France, for example, we said, okay, we need to have the next level product. That's why, for example, we recreated the product in terms of transparency to make it even easier to buy online. Yeah, and we are, for example, the first and only ones so far in France that even cover breed-specific diseases and make this whole product become a real health insurance. Because in the end, as you said, white label also means that you are there with your name, right? And a name is a promise, and you need to keep your promises.
You've already alluded to that. I was going to say, so what would be kind of like 2 or 3 levers that you pull to say how to differentiate your product? You've said you have more tailored coverage levels.
Yeah.
You mentioned a shorter buying journey, which I assume is either by cutting out questions or pre-populating data. Is that what you've done? Or did you just hire a better UI agency and make it look nicer?
Uh, a little bit of everything. I mean, as I said, we are leveraging our brand. That's why we are able to display and to integrate our quote and buy funnel more or less in virtually every brand touch point.
Sure.
And we focus a lot on making the quote and buy journey very convenient and very easy. I mean, it's nothing new if you compare it with the index scene. But what we focus on is also yeah, making the bridge to transparency and to explaining. I mean, what many people see buying insurances online, that it needs to be fast, of course, but you are not guided through the process as well. And what we focus on is on if you're on our website, you go into the sales funnel, there are always on every step a help mechanism to tell you the most relevant information you need to know about the product to make a great buying decision.
Okay, understood. Makes sense. Any other, when you would say any other advices from having launched pet insurance in 2 markets that you feel are not, are they would do all over again in the next market, but also irrespective of whether it's pet insurance or not?
I mean, I would always focus on differentiation. That's why we are also focusing heavily on integrating our pet insurance business into the ecosystem. Yeah, for example, and compared to other players, we have an online vet integrated as a flat rate into the
Hmm.
product. So it means you can call the online vet 24 hours basically if you have questions or you need a consultation. And we try to elaborate on ecosystem benefits. That means if you're a Maxi Zoo insurance customer in France, for example, you get special benefits that only you get buying the insurance. So that helps to add value to the core product and also stimulates cross and upselling.
Yeah, I would say that's particularly important. There's probably, you might have slightly less need for differentiation if you kind of go airline, travel insurance, mobile phone, warranty insurance, because it's super closely linked to the purchase. But what we're talking about here is not a point of sale because you're not actually buying the dog at the time, but it's an ecosystem additional services approach, which would also be whenever you offer something that actually requires that someone can also purchase someplace else, right? at that point, I think it's really key to have a product where you say you can only get this here rather than another Me Too product
Yeah.
that someone gets on Check24 or, some other website.
And this is a different mindset approach because for the most insurance companies, they're happy if they don't need to engage with the insured customers afterwards, not reminding him or her that, oh, you're insured, you should claim something. And for us, it's of course great to have a frequent conversation with our customers to say, well, look, you're insured, you have so many benefits, take advantage of them.
I think that's an interesting one because there's obviously there might be a conflict of interest with the insurer wanting to have premiums and not very many claims, you wanting to have the customer have a great experience, but also getting a commission if it's a normal standard agency agreement, irrespective of claims, at least to a point, right? Now, would you go or did you go as far as to say we're putting our mouth where we are rather than getting a massive commission, we're going into a profit share agreement? Because I've seen that happening in larger engagements as well, where someone says, no, we want to be fully aligned, and yet we need to get a minimum fee, but actually we appreciate that if we want to have more attractive terms or have the customer easier claims regulation, we want to be aligned with the insurer because otherwise we're not.
That can be a model, but I mean, what is the most important about insurance? You buy an insurance because you buy the trust, the promise that somebody helps you if you need it. And imagine for us, it's super important to keep promises. So, and it's the same basically for the insurance company. Even if you have sometimes higher claims, but if you manage them well and you create a great experience, they keep loyal. I mean, it's so nowadays so easy to switch insurance products, right? Especially in the pet insurance business. And if you acquire customers at a high cost, for example, what other players need to do, and then you lose them because you try to hide or you, I don't know, try to avoid to pay, that does not pay off in the long run.
And that was not what I was getting at. I think there is clearly there is a certain there is different to other products with insurance. There is this conflict. I think it can be well managed, and quite frankly, you should get what you paid for. My point was more to say that as a brand whose main focus is not to make money on insurance, it's to create an ecosystem, etc. It could be a further way to contribute to that, because otherwise you're kind of pushing down the buck down the road. You're getting your 20% or whatever you're getting, irrespective of whether they make money. And I was just mentioning that that I've seen similar cases, for example, in mobile phone insurance with telcos, where but it was more something that the insurance provider also suggested. It's to say, let's remove this conflict of interest because we're
Yeah,
always, and then to say, okay, let's then put our money where our mouth is. But that is only if there is such a conflict. If everyone's happy, then everyone's happy. And if so that was
absolutely.
that. Also, I think that was in areas where people wanting to get massive amounts of commission. If we're talking, you have some embedded insurance cases where the distributor wants 50% commission.
I know.
And
If you are too greedy on that, you save basically on the customer value, and in the end, you shoot in your own knee. I totally agree.
can you share something around your kind of KPIs? What does success look like? And anything you might want to share around what is interesting, things like conversion rates based on sort of, how successful certain things are. But anything you feel comfortable sharing that gives us a view about what works, and maybe also anything that you managed to do that were improving your KPIs, and maybe
Yeah.
also things that didn't work, because those are also really interesting because you clearly tried them because you thought they would. I normally don't try things where I'm very, very certain that they don't work. I normally don't do that, to be honest.
I cannot share concrete numbers,
Sure.
unfortunately.
I had to
Uh,
ask.
I can say as much as I try now. I mean, you can imagine that the business is pretty successful due to the growth rates you see in the market, right? And as I just said, imagine just a tiny percent of Fressnapf Maxi Zoo customers signing up for pet insurance. You create a huge amount of volume. You asked about conversion rates. I mean, we are in the upper level because, as I said, we invest a lot in customer experience. And second, also there, the brand trust is extremely helping because what we see is that if customers that, for example, especially are loyal customers, encounter the insurance product, the insurance offering, they say, well, okay, I'm convinced I need that, then I buy it from you. I don't need to compare to other companies. I don't need further explanation. I'm not so skeptical.
Sure.
I just trust. And that's why we have very high conversion rates um, compared to the competition, at least at what I can figure out, especially compared to what normal conversion rates look like in the online world. And they're extremely successful if you have somebody at the telephone. So if you have somebody at the telephone and this guy or this lady is a loyal Fressnapf Maxi Zoo customer, you have a very high possibility, a very high percentage of convincing him or her to sign up for the product.
And you provide that telesales. It's your call center that does those calls, or is it the insurance company's call center to do the insurance specific calls?
It's a partners one. It's done with Petolo in Germany.
Okay.
So if you decide to have a consultation, you can call. You book an appointment, you get a call, and it's a partners call center to call like this in France.
But I think that's another interesting point, and there was something that I also believe is true from an insurance product provider. Having a call center that can convert calls is a very important asset rather than just someone who sticks the product to you. Yeah, that clearly is an advantage.
It is an advantage, but it's the minority of sales, to be honest. The biggest percentage does not need any consultation, does not book any consultation. They go on the website, they find all relevant information, they get guided through the process, and they quote and buy fully digitally
Okay.
without any telesales. And as I said, if you invest into a simple product logic, what you need to make it, what you need to make it possible to sell it online, and at the same time you create a great customer experience. There is no need for anything like this, and that saves cost accordingly, and that even drives profitability.
Would you, what are the kind of easy, clear customer value proposition, differentiated product? Are there any other kind of success factors that you haven't mentioned that you would like to mention before we maybe go into some things that didn't work?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I mentioned basically everything. It's the brand, it's the customer access, it's the ecosystem. It was a high investment into the product, yeah, to have something that is really worth it to call it health insurance. What you see with many competitors, it's a prevention plan with long list of exclusions. And for me, it was always extremely important to have something that deserves the name health insurance, so that covers what really matters and is at your side if you need it. And that's why, for example, we said, okay, we need the coverage for pre-existing conditions in a product that we are selling under our own name in France, because this
And
is crucial, and it's a differentiator because nobody else has it.
I think that's interesting. So would you and always, the big disclaimer, this is not the same if you are kind of a low cost brand, which would be the very strong low cost brands, right? So if I were to design an Aldi pet insurance product, that proposition might be slightly different. But
Yeah.
other,
Mhm.
my point was to say, um, you should probably, well, the insurance product needs to fit your brand. If you're a premium brand, then focus on the customers that are willing to buy for convenience because they trust your brand. That is a convenience, right? I don't need to go to Check24. I don't want to. I don't really care. Fressnapf is able to provide me a good services, and I'm happy to pay premium for that because that's convenient for me. And so rather than going for we always need to be the cheapest, unless that aligns with your brand, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, health insurance, in my opinion, is somehow different. I mean, you can be low cost, but then you need to be extremely transparent that you're low cost. And what we
Okay, fair enough.
see in the
Fair enough.
market, not only in pet insurance, but also in other areas, especially with insurtechs, that they are extremely good at digital sales. They are extremely good at marketing. They are distributing Me Too products, and you think it's a great product, but it's not. So, and that's what should be avoided if you have a name like Fressnapf Maxi Zoo. That's why
Makes
you need to have at least a decent level. And in the end, I mean, imagine you had a great customer experience buying the product and a horrible one claiming, so using the product. In the end, it's worthless, right? So I rather spend 3 days with a shitty sales process, and then I have peace of mind for the rest of my life than other way around. And if you combine both, you can be very confident about winning in the market.
I mean, especially with pet health insurance where you have frequency. So
It,
you
it is
will,
it's a super emotional topic. You mean like
yeah,
more people consider their dogs and cats as family than ever before?
yes,
And I'm not lying if I ask 8 grandmas who they love more, their dog, cat, or their husband. 80 or 9% would say it's the dog. And so should the pet insurance look like in the end and deliver?
that's a great quote. That's a great quote. What about things that didn't work out, and what you've learned from them?
Well, there's nothing that completely failed, to be honest. But of course, we had difficulties too. If you go into a retail company, there is a totally different spirit than an insurance company, right? From a good point speaking. So being completely digital and ambitious, completely normal, right? So that's a little bit different than when you talk to traditional insurance companies. And retail is about, yeah, let's call like this. You buy something for €1 today and sell it for €1.20 tomorrow. So you have a very fast profit. And then you come with insurance and say, well, we need to invest money to build up stock. And someday they pay off. And it's a business model that, I don't know, you keep a customer for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So it's completely different approach.
Yeah,
And it took time to get that method through. So top management, of course, is super easy to convince because they are so much into it. But as I said, we have our pet insurance German offering promoted in over 900 stores in Germany. And of course, that took time, not from the procedures but convincing and empowering the sales staff, the employees at the point of sale to engage with the customer and say, well, look, you just got a puppy. Here I tell you what is super important for a puppy, and here this is pet insurance. So this is completely new. It's completely different business. So it took time to educate them, but also to empower them to enter discussions with customers. It's different than saying, well, here's dog food, and the customer says, well, yeah, we will see if my dogs like it. If not, we take the next package next time, right?
did you have to link it into some form of incentive scheme? I don't know how the shop owner, the shop managers. I don't think you're not a franchise model, right?
Yeah.
Or is it a franchise model?
In most of the stores in Germany are franchise.
Okay, okay. But was there like a discussion about, because insurance is a get rich slow scheme, right? Did you kind of have to go into that complexity, or did you just say, listen, we don't have to convert your normal, I buy for one, I sell for 120, I get the difference kind of thing. Did you have to change the remuneration structure there into kind of like sales commissions rather than ongoing commissions? Was that a thing, both from a commission structure and training and talking to people, or was it just, listen, here's the thing, thank me in 3 years because you'll have recurring stuff that kind of comes in. What was that journey like for you guys?
It really depends on the franchise partner.
Okay.
There are ones that directly see the magic of that business model. Yeah. Not only from a commercial perspective, but also from, hey, why should somebody go into a store if you can also buy some of those things at the supermarket? Yeah, you go to Fressnapf because they are the experts. That's the brand you trust, you love. And in the end, you see, oh, well, they have even more to offer. That's something that helps to strengthen the customer relationship.
Sure.
So the really, really progressive ones, they saw the potential of such an emotional topic pretty early. Some of them later, but in the end, we rolled out with a big commitment of the whole crowd. And yeah, as I said, there are stores they are performing very well. There are stores they are not performing so much because sometimes they have different priorities. But overall, it's a pretty good business, pretty good stuff we're doing there.
Um, what are your, I think I can elude some of the key requirements to an insurance partner is obviously flexibility in designing the product so
Yeah,
that you feel you can put your brand on it, right? That's probably one of the key.
this is the most important. You cannot imagine how many potential partners I spoke, how many people contact us to say, well, look at our daughter, she's even more beautiful, right? And in the end, we are very happy with our decisions. And we are the driving force in pushing the offering forward, especially with our white label solution. It's super important for our partners to have the same spirit for innovation and to say, well, it's important for them too to develop the product, to integrate the ecosystem, and to take the risk, as we said earlier, that people have interactions and sometimes maybe say, okay, if you did not call me today or write me an email to say, look, you have the online vet included, I would have forgotten and I would have paid my vet bill by myself. So you take a risk also as a partner, but I'm pretty sure in the end this is something that will distinguish the insurance companies that will, yeah, do great and the ones that will just survive. But in the end, let's be honest, there are so many traditional insurance companies out there. You don't need any one of them. You don't need all of them. Yeah. So if the market is smaller, that would not lead to a collapse. And just the risk taking is, yeah, sounds stupid, but it's becoming a commodity, right?
Mhm.
So and other things are becoming way more important. And in the end, um, as you said, it's also about the distribution of the cake. The one that acquires the customers always has a very good position if it's about dividing the cake and the result in the end. And I'm pretty sure that many companies out there that act as partners for embedded insurance, they are not aware how much magic there's still in the game and how much they keep lying on the streets.
Let's, I mean, I agree. I'm a fan of both propositions, both pet and embedded, and I think it's a beautiful marriage. Let's, I would like to, and I haven't done this in a while, but I would like to just fireside chat, just a few ideas, and some of these you already mentioned, I believe, and some I believe I know the answers, and some you're already doing, but just kind of humor me. And it's kind of like hot or not, how you like the idea and why, and then if you also think, listen, you actually missed the most interesting parts if you want to share some things that are yet to come from your guys. So I believe I know the answer, but starting your own insurance company.
Well, for myself, it would be a dream, but working for a company like Fressnapf Maxi Zoo, I would not recommend it because, as I said earlier, you can take all the advantages without becoming a real insurance company. So the model that we are doing right now, being a very active co-creating insurance agent is more than enough.
And I would also add to that. I think it's a matter of size as well, right? And then matter of steps. Make sure that you have enough volume, and then you can decide whether you can first of all negotiate better terms. Then
And you can always, if you have the value chain, if you start like this, you can still negotiate to do different parts of the value chain or to integrate somehow in a different way or yeah, becoming even more family than just friends, right? So there's everything possible in the
And that's what I mean. And to me, there's always the play. Focus on the distribution, then focus on all the parts of you might say we can do a better call center or something like that. Then you move into what an MGA normally might do, policy administration, customer service. Then you might move into claims, and then you kind of control your pie. And then you can decide to, I don't know, set up your multi-sell company somewhere, or do a profit share or and then
yeah,
kind of doing a so I think there's it's once you're in a position where onboarding that internal complexity of managing all of these things is better than launching a new country or going into a different ecosystem vertical. Yeah, fair enough. But I would always kind of start with let's just make sure that we grow the pie rather than how we say in German how to divide the pelt. Shoot the bear, then
exactly.
worry about
And
how to divide the pelt.
teamwork makes the dream work, or how that's the good
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. Um, we were talking about a product differentiation, and first of all, I wanted to ask: do you, air quote, only provide health pet insurance, or do you also provide liability pet insurance?
In Germany, we also provide liability insurance for dogs,
Hmm.
and we do not do this. We don't do this in France because there's no need for liability insurance for dogs. They
Okay.
are otherwise covered.
Okay, so then this kind of, and we talked about making it really easy. So there is this thing, and I think this holds true to if you have a customer base that there's a high likelihood that they already have insurance with someone else. Then obviously presenting a great product proposition, making it easy is good, but it leaves, and we've discussed this offline, this still leaves me to compare your offering with my offering. So that creates friction potentially. And so two approaches of how to support and reduce that friction. One is more from a product perspective, and it's basically saying, we take your existing insurance product, we give you a discount, or we might not, depending on the product, but we take your Allianz product, whatever it is, right? You get a discount, and you get our terms and conditions. But in case the Allianz terms and conditions are better, for the next 3 years, we'll regulate on those. The only thing we need, send in your own policy, dang, 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 you're off to the races. That's a kind of from a product angle. Have you considered, and by the way, for health, pet health insurance, that's quite challenging from an insurer perspective because of certain kind of profitability, and there is actually some insurers who are losing a lot of money. So this only makes sense if you believe that there's profitability in the market. And you can do some exclusions, right? You can say, yeah, but you can't do these crazy guys from whatever XYZ who are just losing money. Have you thought about such a proposition, or what is your gut feeling towards your customer to making it kind of that easy?
Haven't thought about this idea. It's a hot idea, in my opinion. Right now, we have the luxury situation that the market is still untapped somehow. So if you speak to 10 pet owners, eight of them do not have pet insurance yet.
Okay, yep.
So it's different than many other areas where you need to fight somebody else offering to promote
Understood.
your offering. But I mean, someday that's the best case. You come to the situation, right? Because then the market is even more saturated. And I think that can be a very smart idea, especially if you're a company like Fressnapf, which goal it is to have a superior product and to bring transparency in the market and to say, well, look, you have this product here and you pay €5 less, but are you aware that this and this and this is not included? Because I mean, you see oftentimes if you scan the market, disappointment with other offerings. So if you Google disappointment with a pet insurance, then you find players where people say, well, I did not know that this and that is not included, and why should I pay for it? So I
Yeah.
think it's the more people are interested in this product, the more competition drives, and the more the customer is somehow, yeah, skeptical with pet insurance. There will be a differentiation in product quality arise, and that's why, in my opinion, we said we're not waiting for this. We need to have the best product from first day on.
And I think a second option, which is it's only, I think, feasible because of the kind of recent advancements of, I would say, pre-trained AI, is that you could, if and only if you have enough customers in your journey who
Yeah.
already you believe have a product, is then to say, and by the way, send us your policy or your insurance wording, and we can give you a comparison of where we think we're better, to help you kind of make that decision. Just to kind of make that switching proposition easier, but only if that is a lever to pull.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
cool. I mean, even if you do not differentiate at some point, you can still say, look at our ecosystem. We will always differentiate somehow because we have this ecosystem. We can do more than just insurance, and the competition cannot. I mean, for them, building their own online vet is way more complicated than for us.
yeah, and I mean, obviously, if you have someone has the existing one, you can then also tailor your product. If you say, this is actually a really good product, maybe we'll reduce the price to make it better because we actually rather have the customer,
Yeah.
so you can kind of play around with that, with those things. I've had written down adding telesales to the mix. You said you already have,
In Germany,
um,
yes.
which is helpful, but you actually uh, have a large percentage of your customers converting purely digitally. Have you thought about things like, and kind of as an extension, have you thought about things like voice bots or something? Or is that something on your mind?
Something
By the
like
way,
this.
I'm not sure it'll be smart in this one because I believe those people on the phone, pet insurance is actually an emotional experience, and a voice bot is not the same thing as me buying in for mobile phone insurance. But I was just wanting to get your view on that.
I mean, there are always interesting technologies and trends, and it's super important to have them on the paper. But to be honest, right now we decided that we focus on what matters most today and tomorrow. And this is the product, this is the ecosystem integration, and everything else is second priority.
Understood. Customer referrals. Now, pretty plain vanilla customer referral. You get a voucher for every customer you do. I think for you, it's obviously quite interesting because you can produce your own vouchers in a
Yeah.
sensible ecosystem. Um, Purely from an insurance point of view, because insurance is actually a recurring income stream, and health insurance premiums are not insignificant. So we the I'll explain a small scheme that has been done by another insurtech in Germany outside of an ecosystem, great brand, no emotion. They gave for both parties who were the referrer and the referee, both got 10% discount as long as they stayed into the program. If one left, the discount went away. And if you were to, for simplification terms, if you were to get 10 new customers, you didn't pay any premium. That was kind of the thing. What they managed to do was they get, for each customer that they got 1 to 1.5 additional customers on the
Yeah.
insurance program. So not it's expensive because so basically you're making like a pyramid sales scheme on your customers. And there might be simpler ways of not, you need to make sure that you set it up correctly so you don't provide commission kickbacks. But with your customer base, I mean, that should go like wildfire.
It is. We are doing this in Germany. If you refer to a friend successfully, you get a 50 euro shopping voucher. So it's
How
an
much is
instant
it the average premium on your insurance
35.
per month?
Yeah, a month.
Okay. Yeah. So you get your 15% one-off. Oh, and do you have good success with that program?
Yeah, I mean, it's going like crazy because people like to refer if they get rewarded. Simple mechanism. And of course, it's great if you have a good product and you tell other people about it, and then you get a 50 euro voucher to go to the store and say, well, look here, I want to spend some more money on good pet stuff. It's a very cool, successful story. In France,
Mm,
we are different. Right now, we haven't done this so far, but we are trying to engage the loyalty program customers even more. So if you're a loyal customer and you're part of the loyalty program, you get even extra benefits, shopping vouchers every year and stuff like this. So that was also a complexity. Like there's still a lot of regulation and you need to deal with it. But we found the good way to follow the rules and to take advantage of the things that we can offer and the competition cannot so easily.
let's say tracking. I'm a big fan of health telematics for pets because you can make the decision for them rather than making the decision for yourself, and you
Yeah.
can then also make so. What is your view? Have you tried this? Is this successful? What's your view about health tracking from a just dog owners might be interested? Or pet owners might be interested in it, and then potentially it has an impact on the insurance program, but just in general.
It's a super interesting use case, especially because Fressnapf Maxi Zoo got his own tracker business.
Helpful,
And
yeah.
of course, it's interesting to think this use case like, well, you deliver the data or you share the data and you get somehow rewarded for it because you can prove that the dog or the cat is healthy. We deprioritize this case a little bit due to many other priorities that I just mentioned, especially because it's not so simple to combine both products. For
No, it's a
example,
different. Yep, yep.
uh,
It's a
I
different
mean,
product.
imagine this case, somebody wants to keep the insurance but does not want to keep the tracker abonnement or other way around. And you cannot give them for free. And if you charge too much money, even if you give a big discount, maybe you're not allowed to do this because it's too much sales incentive. So that's why we said, okay, there is a way, and it's an interesting case, but not for today.
Okay. And
But who
just
knows? But
on the last point, kind of up and cross-selling, how do you kind of do that technologically supported? My favorite one was it comes from claims from car insurance. They had people go through an online car journey. People had the offer of getting a roadside assistance. They did not select it. 4 hours later, they generated a text message saying, by the way, we've looked at this at your contract, which they didn't. It was just the computer. And for an additional XYZ, you can still include this coverage. Do you want to or not? And they, I believe, had another 10% of customers who previously decided not to go for the more expensive option sign up for that option. And I believe it had a little bit to do with the fact that they actually did not do it directly at the point, but kind of afterwards, and also that it was on the mobile phone and not in the email. And it was like then quite simple to say, you know what? Maybe. I quite like that.
Absolutely. I mean, cross and upselling is a big thing that the traditional industry, the traditional insurer always struggles with, right? So I have enough experiences where I heard that, oh, we cannot contact them. Yeah, for sure, it's somehow difficult. But for us, it's quite easier because we integrated a few things into the product directly. So that's why you make them use it, and we push the consent for our loyalty program by giving incentives to become a loyal customer. And if you have them in a loyalty program, it's always great to keep them engaged with the brand and everything that this brand has to offer.
Awesome. Conscious of time, but let's try to would love to get your view about not just pet insurance, we said,
Yeah.
but the marriage of the two, namely embedded insurance. What's your view about the future of embedded insurance? What's your recommendation? Is there any qualification? What type of brands should not look into insurance? What's your view?
Embedded insurance will grow. It's a huge chance, not only for insurance companies to push established products into the market via sales partnerships. That's like the classical business of embedded insurance. Well, like a car insurance company embedding a car insurance into a car rental process, for example. I rather see uh, even more innovation potential if you try to do it as we did with the Fressnapf approach. There is a partner, a company that is not an insurance company, yeah, that says, well, we have the brand, we have the access to the customer, we know the customer better than anybody else, and we see that there are risks that are worth to cover. Of course, pet insurance is not a completely new idea. Don't get me wrong, but we are driving this by pushing it into into innovative direction. And imagine you're now a different vertical, another company somewhere else, and you have the same requirements, and you are the one that goes to the insurance company and say, "Well, I have a product idea. Let's realize this, and we don't need to pay so much cost of acquisitions to test it and to push it because we have the customers already." I mean, you know what I mean? I have seen so many innovation, um, yeah, attempts, let's call it like this, with the traditional industry, where you came up with an innovative idea. And if you have this innovative idea, there are no capabilities to uh, push it in a digital way, yeah, because I don't want to step on the feet of the human agent, for example, or I don't have the capabilities, or I have the capabilities, but I need to invest, and I am not so risk taking, and I don't want to invest. And imagine we both have a great idea, and we don't need to ask for 10 millions of marketing spend, but we rather leverage the reach of somebody else to test that product and to say, well, we are not paying anything. We rather paying back to this partner by dividing the cake than just spending money on marketing. So, and I think there are so many industries out there that could, yeah, help find new innovative ideas and be the driving force for product innovation in an industry that did not invent new products for quite a while. I don't know which product is super new and has not been there like basically for forever. So, and this could be a super interesting case because that's basically what we did with Fressnapf if you go the way back. So, and that could be, this approach could be transferred to other industries as well.
I fully agree. I would say what I uh, not taking away from this conversation, but it confirmed my view about it is embedded insurance is an attractive opportunity for insurers and for brands. However, it does require both sides to sit down and co-create and
Yeah,
create a differentiated proposition. If neither side is willing to do that, don't be surprised that the results are less so than those who put in the work.
Absolutely, but that's what I just said. There are many insurance companies out there. You just need one that supports this idea, and there is a huge industry arising that focuses on the digital distribution. And if you combine those two with a non-insurance partner, that can be a very magical equation.
Perfect. Christopher, thank you so much for your time and your
Thank
insights.
you.
I think your voice carried well through the conversation. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And for everyone else who listened and watched, I'm looking forward to your comments, your views, and I wish everyone a lovely day and see you guys on the circuit. Take care.
Thank you
Bye.
very much. Bye bye.